Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of My Book Story. This is a show that gives authors an opportunity to share their stories and the story behind their story. And today I am with a wonderful guest, Anele Ngema. She's a young activist that is writing about albinism and people who are living with albinism. So she's here today to share a beautiful story about her new book, The Depth of Her Misery. I know you will learn a lot, and embrace yourself, because today I am with this woman. She's doing amazing work. She's not yet 20, and she's about to turn 20, but she's doing amazing work at a university. You should follow her on her blog and in so many things. So today I am with Anele Ngema. Anele,
hi.
Welcome to my show. How are you doing?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm great, man. You know, I'm excited about today because what you're writing about, many people, they shy away from it because it's a content that is not yet released, especially in South African content. So I'm excited to have you. I need you to feel free, relax, because I'm here to learn from you, and my viewers, they will learn a lot from you, from our discussion. So before we continue or we do anything, will you please introduce yourself?
My name is Anele Ngema. I'm gonna be turning 20 pretty soon. I'm studying psychology and English at the University of Free State. I obviously moved that side, but I grew up in Joburg.
Okay.
And then I did my primary studies at KZN and in my high school here in Joburg.
Okay. So I read your book about the depth of her misery. I must say it's a beautiful story, well written and well researched, because most of the time we hear a story about people living with albinism and we tend to judge. But before we go to the book, can you tell us, when did you receive the love or the passion? Because when I was reading the book and when I was talking to you, I felt a passion about the topic that you are writing and doing activism about it. So tell us, where did it all begin and how?
Well, it all began in my high school. I had a girl that I used to look up to a lot. I used to love her a lot. Her name was Tuwelihle. She was, I think, 3 grades older than me. Okay. She also lives with albinism. It touched me because she was that girl who was active. She never let her disorder or condition define her. She'd just go for anything. If we have anything at school, she would be there. So as I used to love her like that, we used to obviously stand, because my school is a building. Okay. So during break time, we'd stand by the steps and then we look other people as they pass. So every time she passed by, I'd hear people gossiping about her. It'd be like, why is she in this school? Why is she not in the school where people like her should be? And it quite touched me because I don't understand. For me, I always felt like we are all the same, regardless of our skin color. So if people like that, because they just talk to her as if they love her. Mm-hmm. And the moment she turns her back, that's when they say nasty things about her, things that are not nice. Mm-hmm. So it really touched me that there are some people who are so closed-minded like that, okay, who think some people are less of humans. Oh. Whilst we all the same.
Yeah, and I can see where you draw your passion for. But can you give us a summary of the book? Like, okay, why, like the title, The Depth of Her Misery. Mm-hmm. Why such a title, and what are you trying to drive through by this title?
Okay, well, the title, The Depth of Her Misery, it's basically it's showing the misery or the depths that people living, the challenges and the struggles that people living with albinism or people who live with disorders similar to albinism face daily. Mm. Yes, you may see them going out there, but you don't know their story. You don't know what they go through. Mm. So the depth of her misery, it's basically showing what the lady I wrote about goes through, what Nokuthula is about, what made her.
Okay. So, and there's something that I've read on the book, and I want you to share with my viewers about. There is another condition that people usually confuse it with albinism. Can you share more? Educate us on that.
Okay, so in my book, the girl that tells us a story about albinism is not an albino. She is actually a person living with leukodemia.
Okay.
So leukodemia is actually a disorder where there is a loss of pigment in the skin, but it's not the complete loss of melanin like albinism. So that's the difference. Albino people live with the complete absence of melanin, which also affects their eyes and their hair. That's why you find them having yellow or reddish hair or brown hair. But with her, it's only her skin that is affected, but her eyes are normal, her hair is normal.
Okay.
But still people think that she is an albino because of her skin color. So it's not about the skin color, but about how it affects her.
Okay. And we will still go to deep into the book. And there's something that you even mentioned on the book about 5 different kind of albinism. Can you share more on that too?
Okay, so there are 5 different types of albinism. We have ocular albinism, we have oculocutaneous albinism, we have Griscelli syndrome, which is also part of albinism, and then we have Hemingway syndrome, which is also part of albinism, and then we have Chediak. It is also a part of albinism.
Okay, and I know that you have explained most of those things in the book, so I wouldn't want you to go deep because I want people to buy the book. But there's something that I want us to check again, because people with living albinism, it's not only about how they look. There are many challenges that they are facing. And let's look at Noctula, the character that you use on your book. There is a time where she felt low self-esteem. She had suicide thoughts. And and I want you to share a little bit about the man, because after her mom died, she an uncle took her. I want you to share a little bit about him and the way she treated her.
Okay, so she also introduces her as a weird person.
Okay.
So throughout the story, Uncle is just that person that does not want to be argued with. When he says something, that something must be done.
He's a detective.
Yeah, he's more like a detector. So I'd say Uncle's character is really dodgy because he pretends to love the kids when he's around, but when he's outside, he has dodgy phone calls, dodgy meetings, and stuff like that. So yeah, Uncle's character is really, really dodgy, but at the same time, he is the one that reveals or brings about the challenges that they face, because he is the one that firstly mistreats them and discriminates them whilst he lives with them. He tells them not to go outside, they shouldn't be seen by anybody because they do not deserve to be seen by anybody. He ends up at some point raping the older sister, which is the protagonist of the story, because he thinks he can cure HIV and AIDS. And then he also just beats them up, and then he also believes that they are kind of like ghost people. Okay. Yeah.
And then on the story, I want us to go there, because when there's so many myths that goes with that, like if people they say if you sleep with an albino, they will cure AIDS, and then people are using their body parts for rituals for making money. Based on the research that you did while you're writing the book, is any of this myth true, or it's something that people are just making up?
No, it is not true, because I actually do ask around. So I didn't just do research based on technology. I also went out there and asked people how they feel about it. I also even asked people living with albinism itself. Do they think these are real? Because I, for one, believe they're not real. Because if they were true, I feel like we'd all be rich by now.
Yeah.
Because we'd be using them, and then if they are true, I don't think anybody would even have HIV and AIDS at this point, and we'd all have money because we'd be selling their body parts.
So, and again, there is the point where you about the girl that inspired you in your high school.
Yeah.
And then Tubelihle, yeah. And then you shared about that days. She said, you said when we were discussing, behind the scene, that her mother disappeared.
Yes.
And I know that is part of the myth, but I want you to speak about the motivation that you got after realizing that there are people who just disappear because of,
Okay, I'd say it touched me and it motivated me because if somebody disappears, I feel like it is our responsibility as a whole to look for that person. So now, because her mother was an albino, she's supposed to disappear and no one even bothered to look for her, you know? So it shows how people turn a blind eye to such things. Because if it was just a basic person, I'd say probably a celebrity missing, everyone would be up and down looking for that person. But because she is not, people turned a blind eye on that, and it really touched me.
And when she was sharing that story, how did you sense any pain or any? Can you explain that?
Well, obviously she didn't cry or anything like that, but you could hear from her tone, from the way she said it, that it really it touched her. It's something that she was pain. No, that's what touched me about her. She was not afraid of herself, but she was pained by her past, about what happened to her mother. But she still went on. She was there. She was brave. She was standing up for herself.
Yeah. Okay, because there's another thing that I want us to touch again. Because as I said earlier, these people they are not being discriminated by how they look, because like even the uncle ish, when he's telling them don't go out because people they don't have to see you, even when you're looking at her younger sister being discriminated in high school. There is something that is going around in media today where people they're committing suicide because of depression. When we are doing your research, do you think what we are doing, what other people are doing to people living with albinism, contributed to them feeling depressed and them, and can you share that, like, can you share that and your advice as an activist for people living with albinism? What can you say and what can you teach people who are not living with albinism?
Okay, as a psychology student,
Yes.
We look at such issues like depression, what causes depression, and things like that. So the small things that you can do to a person and they don't like it can cause a depression. Because if you do something, for example, with people living with albinism, they call them names.
Okay.
And sometimes the things that a person might say may still be in your mind. Even wherever you go, you think about it and you be like, that means this is true about myself. That means this is what I am. Because people tend to believe the bad things that you say about them instead of the good things that you say about them.
Right.
So I think that is what causes depression at the end. And then they feel like they are not worthy. And then that's why they want to kill themselves and commit suicides. And then my advice to everyone as a whole, I'd say it goes with the moral of the book, that we should all unite together, regardless of your skin color, regardless of whether you are an albino or not. I feel like we should all stand up and unite together to help stop the killing of albinism people, the discrimination against them and all that. And then I'd also say that we should also, I feel like it is our responsibility to read more about such things, because anyone can give birth to an albino child. What happens then? Do you only read because now you have a child, or should you read to know about it so that you bring about an impact in the community?
Okay. Yeah, and there is another thing that I want us to touch, because many people they will think with this book it's about albinism, but when I was reading it, I saw, because issues like rape, it does not only happen to people living with albinism. It happened to people, because in this case, she trusted the uncle that she will take care of her, but he's the one who ended up abusing her. So I want you even to speak about those things that people are the people that are suffering, like special, but let's focus on people with albinism. And and I like when you shared about as being a psychology student, how much does rape affect people, let's say like a woman and people living with albinism, and how much damage do you think it can cause to them?
Okay, I feel like it can cause a lot of damage, because if a person comes to you and say something bad about you, already that hurts you a lot, and it has a huge impact. Imagine them having both an emotional scar and a physical scar at the same time. I feel like it has a lot of a scar, a lot of pain in them.
Yeah. And share with us because after she's been raped, like at the end, we see her, she's pregnant with the child of this animal that was abusing her, and then now she did she hate the child, or what happened on that?
Okay, in the last chapter, she discovers that she's actually pregnant, and it's the uncle's baby because she was raped. At first, she tries to do abortion, and she even tells you that she doesn't want to have this child. She doesn't wish to see this child because this child would be a reminder of her past. Because now she's trying to forget about her past. But now that she's pregnant, everything comes back again. So because of the pain that she has been through, she does not want this child. She tries by all means to do abortion or to get rid of this baby, but she fails. As she fails, she ends up accepting the fact that at some point, this baby will be born, and she will have to love it. And she doesn't want what happened to her, the negligence from the people, to happen to her baby. So she tries by all means to learn to be a good parent to the child that's going to be there. And at some point, I say she accepts herself, because at the end she accepts her identity, her skin color. She's comfortable with who she is.
Okay. Oh, and then that's a good ending. And like, there's something like when you share, it came into my mind about the challenges that people are facing, but I like the confidence that she gained at the end. And then, like, do you have any words of wisdom or any encouraging words that you have for people living with albinism and people who are living with them?
Okay. Firstly, with people living with albinism, I've noticed that while doing my research before I wrote the book, I noticed some of them were ashamed of themselves. You'd even see with the way they walk, the way they talk to people, the way they approach other people. It's like they're almost not comfortable with who they are. So my advice to them would be to accept themselves, because we can't just accept you if you're not willing to accept yourself. I feel like they should start by loving themselves first and accepting who they are, and not being ashamed of their skin color, because they're still humans, just like any other person. So my advice to them is to be out there, have a voice, and stand up for yourself. Don't be ashamed. Don't be limited by your skin color.
Yeah.
And then to people who living with albinism, my advice to them would be to treat them the way they are, because if they read the book, they're obviously going to see the challenges that they live with, and the impact it has on those people. So if you really love those people, maybe you have a child living with albinism or a cousin, treat them like you treat your uncle, your uncle who does not have albinism. Because at the end, we are all humans. It's not about our skin color, but it's about us living together as a community.
And another thing, you're doing amazing work in terms of blogging and everything. Can you share with us the name of your blog and the theme of the blog? What is it that you're trying to achieve using it?
Okay, my blog is entitled Albinism Case Club.
Okay.
So that is basically where everyone is invited to engage with me in such a topic. We talk about albinism, what people think about it, how people think we should help them. Because yes, I might have my own opinion on how to help them, but another person might not think the same.
Yeah.
They might have another better option than I have. So in this blog, that's when I engage with people. We get different opinions about how we're gonna help other people, and at some point it teaches other people as well that you don't have to be an albino person to help other people living with albinism or to be impacted by such a topic. You can also be an activist without being an albino person.
Yes, oh.
Like me, yes.
So, and in that blog, you are not only looking for people living with albinism,
Yes.
even people who are not living, but
Yeah.
who want to contribute in this. And then how can they contribute their opinion? And
There is a comment blog. They can comment there, or I've also left my details there. They can email me. We can talk. But I'd also encourage them to comment on the blog as well, so that more people can see it, and maybe it might change some person's life. So
yeah, because I like to tell the truth. This is I feel like this is the stories that we need to share, because there are so many myths behind these stories that ordinary people who doesn't have time to do research will research and find out. And I'm excited about the blog that you are doing, because you are educating people about this thing, because at the end of the truth is we are all the same. And like people tend to judge people based on how they look, based on some on disabilities, but at the end of the day we are all human. Like we are all creatures of God. And there's another thing that I like what you are doing. You're doing a book tours. You said you're starting at the university and different places. Share with us, what are you doing in those?
okay, I have small talks where we meet up certain days. Anyone is invited there, whether you're male or female. We sit down, we talk about such a topic, how we feel about it, how we think we should help other people living with albinism and other disorders like leukodemia and vitiligo. We speak about such things. Currently, it's still in the university, but I'm hoping to expand it to also schools as well, other universities, so that it goes global in communities as well.
Yeah, because I think you should do, because this is I'm convinced this is what we need now, because what I like about you are not only even focusing on albinism, but you are focusing on like different disorders that people are living with and the challenges. And now we are passing out. I want to give you 30 seconds to tell people why they should buy this book.
Okay. Firstly, anyone can give birth to an albino child. So I feel like it is your responsibility as a parent, sister, a neighbor, to read and learn more about albinism, so to help your growing child or your cousin with albinism. Secondly, we are so easy to judge without knowing another person's scars and their past. So if you read this book, you're gonna know the challenges and the struggles that they go through, and at some point you would want to help. But in order for you to help, you need to know their challenges as well and what they go through. And then thirdly, the book has a personal touch that may help you or the reader go through their challenges, as it gives advice, motivations, and guidelines on how to deal with certain situations. And then lastly, the book teaches you to appreciate the little things that you have, and ordinary things like your name, because at some point Noktula describes what her name means. She appreciates everything that they do for her because she is not privileged. Yes.
Wow, that's mouthful. And if people want to book you for speaking engagements, for talks, if they want to host you in their churches, their schools, and their universities, how can you share with them how they contact you and your social media handles?
Okay, they can contact me on my email address, which is angema.ah17@gmail.com. That is angema.ah17@gmail.com. And then my social media handles are on Facebook, I'm Anele Ngema.
Okay.
And then on Instagram, I'm Anele Ani, that is ANELEANEIGH. And then I also have my WhatsApp numbers. It's 072 333 7507.
But that's for booking, right?
Yes.
Okay, guys, we had a wonderful show today. I was sitting with the young Anele Ngema. She's doing amazing work. She's changing lives. And I would like to tell you guys that this is one of the books that I think everyone should read. And I want you guys to invite her. If you're having a church gathering, if you're having a school gathering or universities, as she said, she's doing tours, going around different places, holding this talk. Her talk are not only about albinism, but it's about different cases. She's a young psychologist that she's passionate about things. She's passionate about building her community. Okay, guys, we are signing out again. As I keep on telling you that in this show, we're only bringing the best people who are doing amazing work, and she's one of those people who is doing amazing work. Remember, we are always here on every Wednesday, 9 o'clock. Global Conference TV. We're sharing stories that are changing life. The name of the show is My Book Story, and today we had a bookstore of Anele Ngema. Signing out till we meet again next time. Thank you. Bye.